So today I want to share with you the story of a bunch of Texas male firefighters doing what everybody else thought was absolutely impossible. And we're going to go. And so after I completed a almost 10-year career as a professional triathlete, I was looking for a new career, a new move, and firefighting, for a lot of different reasons, fit that bill. Helping people, no two shifts were ever the same. Running into burning buildings sounded like a nice adrenaline rush after competing for over 10 years. And so I was fortunate enough to get on with the Austin Fire Department in 1997. And when I came out of the fire academy, I very naively thought that every shift that we'd be running into a burning building and we'd be slaying the dragon and fighting fires. But the reality is, as firefighters, 90% of our call volume, what we're doing is we're fighting Western disease. And we see up close and personal, as emergency first responders, as paramedics, as EMTs, we see the slew of chronic Western disease that's infesting America today. Whether it's heart disease, whether it's diabetes, whether it's cancer, or whether it's rampant obesity. This is what we see every day. And it is because of the food. It's because of the food that we eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and it manifests itself in us as disease. It's the number one thing that any of us can do to get healthy and to get well. Now, this is a redneck smoke detector, okay? And it is no more effective at protecting any of us in this room from smoke and fire and ultimately death than the standard American diet is at protecting us from chronic Western diseases. The standard American diet leads to the standard American diseases and the standard American death. That is because if we take a look at the standard American diet, it is just a bunch of trash. It's an absolute abomination. Over 55% of America's calories are coming from nutritional black holes that have no caloric value. Almost another 35% is coming from animal products. Anything that has a face, anything that comes from something with a mother, any animal byproduct, any dairy product has varying amounts of saturated fat, dietary cholesterol, problematic animal protein that promotes inflammation, pesticides, herbicides, all kinds of stuff. It bioaccumulates in the fat of these animals. And then 12% is coming from plants. But believe it or not, half that 12% of America's calories is coming from one particular food, and that is potatoes, and it's coming from French fried potatoes. So we take what used to be an amazingly healthy food, and then what we do is we slice it up into sticks, we put it in the deep fryer, we pull it up, we put salt on top of it, and then we dip it in high fructose-laden sugar. And so what used to be 2% fat is now over 50% fat, and that's America's number one source of vegetables. It's potatoes. So really, when you think about it, only 6% of America's calories are coming from fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and beans. And that is why, one of the main reasons that we now are the sickest and the unhealthiest country on the planet. Now, for purposes of today, I want to talk about heart disease. It is the number one killer of Americans. 51% of us will die of heart disease. It doesn't matter if you're male, female, or what your stripes are. This disease does not discriminate, not one iota. And I want you to see, this is a cross-section of a healthy artery. Now, I want you to see what happens. This is time-lapse photography after 20, 30, 40 years of eating the standard American diet. Watch closely. And make no mistake about it, that is happening to everyone in this room. It is ubiquitous in every American, especially if 51% of us are dying of heart disease. Now, the good news is that we know that heart disease, you can halt it and you can actually reverse it. My father has been working at the Cleveland Clinic since 1984, and he now has the most profound evidence-based research on the planet showing that everybody in this room, if you decide to change what you put in your mouth, you can halt and actually reverse the heart disease that's been accumulating in your arteries since the age of 2 and 3. right? Heart disease doesn't just happen when you get older, right? We're laying the foundation for it starting at age 2 and 3. Now, I want to show you a before and after angiogram. This is a fellow surgeon of my father's at the Cleveland Clinic. He died of a heart attack. They brought him back to life at the age of 42. He didn't go on any statin medications, no procedures. The only thing he did is he used the power of a whole food, plant-based diet. This is an angiogram of his left anterior descending artery. Right here, you can see it's kind of all messed up. 2.5 years later, the only prescription, plant-based nutrition, you can see it is now absolutely wide open. And the fact that we can see this with the naked eye is very profound. So, speaking of heart disease, the number one killer of firefighters in the line of duty is our heart attacks. And so we basically, after a bet sitting out here on the porch, it led to a discovery that one of our own, JR, James Ray, at the age of 33, was basically a dead man walking. And so in an effort to save JR's life, save his arteries, we, as a group of 5 firefighters, decided that we would go plant strong. We would eat in support of JR. And I challenged these guys to eat this way for 28 days. Just give me 28 days. And JR and the other guys, they morphed themselves from medical time bombs to healthy superheroes. JR's cholesterol went from 344 to 196 in 28 days. Most doctors would tell you that's impossible to do just with the power of food. But I educated these guys, and I showed them, this is what I want you to avoid for the next 28 days. This is contraband, and this will not make you healthy. So I started with red meat. I said, guys, you know, red meat, I know you think that it puts hair on your chest and it makes you more of a man, but the reality is it actually puts plaque in your arteries and makes you less of a man. We now know that the first clinical sign of heart disease is erectile dysfunction. That's why we have over 40 million men that are having to take a little blue pill to get an erection. And so I said, guys, if you want your Puff the Magic Dragon to roar, and I know you do, then you need to start bellying up to the green leafy vegetables, the whole grains, the fruits, all these wonderful things. Next, I said, now, every one of you thinks that chicken is like the bomb. You think it's healthy, but the reality is that chicken has the exact same amount of cholesterol as red meat. Your leanest piece of chicken is 20% saturated fat, and anything that wiggles a fin, paws a hoof, closes a clam, anything that has muscle has varying amounts of cholesterol, saturated fat, and problematic animal protein that promotes inflammation. So you can't get away from that. So we're saying no to chicken as well. Fish. Most people don't know that most fish has more cholesterol than either red meat or chicken. And so if you're, you know, double dipping now on fish and chicken, trying to get heart healthy, it's not going to happen. And so I told these guys, even like wild-caught Atlantic salmon has 50 milligrams of dietary cholesterol per 3 ounces. It's also loaded again with animal protein and varying amounts of saturated fat, and most fish is absolutely loaded with mercury, PCBs, and dioxins. So you can't win when you're trying to eat animal flesh. Eggs, I said, guys, the problem with an egg is that one egg yolk, just one egg yolk, has the same amount of cholesterol as 2 Burger King Whoppers. Don't go there. Milk is just, it is liquid meat is what it is. 1 8-ounce glass of whole milk is 51% fat and has the same amount has the same amount of saturated fat as 4 strips of bacon and twice the amount of calories. All right? Don't go there. 2% milk is actually 35% fat. 1% is actually 25% fat, and skim milk has a higher proportion of problematic animal protein than 1%, 2%, or whole milk. Everybody in this room, everybody in America has been bamboozled and hoodwinked by the very powerful dairy industry. Cheese. Cheese is just hardened meat, all right? It's just fat and salt. And I was talking to this young lady before we got here, and she told me she worships at the Church of Cheeses 7 days a week. Most of us do, and I want you to know it's highly addictive. Don't go there, right? Most of us think we're doing the Mediterranean thing when we're doing our Greek yogurts. It's got twice the amount of problematic animal protein, specifically casein, which is the #1 tumor and cancer promoter in the American diet. We are the only mammals that drink another mammal's milk. We become so habituated that we don't even think there's anything crazy with drinking cow's milk. What about monkey milk? What about rat milk, right? Why not another mammal's milk? It's absolutely nutty. Olive oil, any oil whatsoever, coconut, olive, canola. This is the most hyper-concentrated source of calories and malnutrition on the planet. And everybody in this room thinks this is heart healthy. Again, just like with dairy, we've been hoodwinked and bamboozled. You want to get your fat from whole food sources, get it from the olive. It takes 1,375 olives that you have to squeeze to get one 32-ounce bottle of olive oil. And you get rid of all the water, fiber, phytonutrients, micronutrients, plant-friendly protein, carbohydrates, and all you're left with is fat, 15% artery-clogging fat. So how did I get a bunch of Texas male firefighters to eat this way? We took foods that they love and we just plant-strongified it. So we did burgers, right? We did burgers made out of grains, made out of beans. We did pinto habanero burgers. We did Italian fennel burgers, all kinds of fantastic burgers. We did pizza with every amazing vegetable topping you can imagine, just without the cheese on a whole grain crust. We would do a lentil oat loaf instead of a meatloaf. That was amazing. We would do portobello mushroom fajitas, butternut squash fajitas, seitan, tempeh, tofu fajitas with all the fixins. We would do red lentil sloppy joes instead of meat sloppy joes. We would do macaroni and not cheese. We would do 3-bean chilies. We would do whole grain waffles, spelt blueberry pancakes, kale ceviche salad. Kale's angry lettuce, so you have to figure out a way to get that into you. We drive avocado into it. We would do cookies instead of doing eggs. We would do ground flaxseed meal. Instead of doing oil, we would do applesauce. And then we would do a nice chocolate mousse using silken tofu, maple syrup, and a little bit of cocoa. And then, of course, loved all the fruit that was available. But my message to everybody here today is you got to kick the habit. You got to kick the habit. I'm not talking about smoking cigarettes. What I'm talking about is the standard American diet. It is more insidious and more destructive than smoking cigarettes, but nobody is making the connection. There's a huge disconnect right now. 94% of America's calories are basically destructive instead of constructive. So we want to get plant strong, all right? I don't use the term vegan or vegetarian. Let's get plant strong, all right? You decide how plant strong you want to get, but let's move the needle. Everybody in this room can do better than 6%. Let's make it 50, 75, or if you have it in you, I say go for 100. To me, there's no glory in the middle. Where you get amazing results is when you go all in and you make it black or white. But the gray area is when people get into trouble. Your health is absolutely worth it. I want you to know that if a firehouse and now a fire department in Austin, Texas can get behind this, any house in America can do this. You just have to put your health as your #1 priority and realize that there's a vast cornucopia of delectability that's out there. This is not a bunch of turtle food or rabbit food, right? This is everything you can imagine. 99% of the food on the planet comes from plants. It doesn't come from animals. So the answer, let's go plant strong together and make this happen. Gandhi had a quote. He said that true happiness is when what you think, what you say, and what you do are all in complete alignment. And I want you to know when you start eating this way, it has a very, very profound ripple effect that goes way beyond just your personal health, right? We now know that the #1 cause of climate change and global greenhouse gas emissions comes from animal agriculture. We now kill and eat 70 billion animals worldwide, and just growing all the grains and everything for animal agriculture is responsible for 45% of the Earth's surface. The amount of water, fossil fuels that go into this, it's insane. So do it for your own health. If you're a true environmentalist, do it for the environment. And then also, we are strong and we are compassionate people, right? Somewhere along the line, there's a disconnect between the fact that what we're eating used to be another sentient creature, all right? I'm going to end with the hand hug. I want everybody here to find a partner, and we're going to do a little kumbaya. There was a guy at the firehouse, and he said, you don't know what it looks like yet, so you can't do it. There was a guy at the firehouse that said, if you hug me, I'll kill you. We said, how about the little hand hug? And he's like, okay, this is the hand hug. So since I'm the first speaker, and we want to create a lot of kumbaya, I want you to find a partner and do the hand hug. This is what it looks like. Do we got volume? No? Hey, show me a hand hug. Come on, show me a hand hug. Show me a hand hug. I know you can do it. Show me it. Oh, there you go. Yeah. All right, thank you. Nobody's doing the hand hug. Give me a little hand hug. There you go. There you go.